diet or vegan diet. They like to be clean, they're neat, they're tidy. So this is a sattvic person, and sattvic people are known as Brahminical class, or Brahmani is a female Brahmin. They like this. Whereas a person in the rajas, in passion, they like to start salting their food even before they eat it. Have you ever done that, or seen someone, they start putting salt on their food even before they find out? Yes. So that's Raj, that's the influence of passion in the body, and it causes high blood pressure, because if you take too much salt, then your blood pressure goes way up. Or if you like chilies too much, if you see people in India, sometimes they add vegetables to their chilies. They love chili so much. Depends where you're born, what the customs are. And then in the mode of ignorance, means we're attracted to destruction, death, black, stinky food, things which are rotten and decomposed. I was hearing about some famous dish, I don't know where it was from, Mahidhar Prabhu was describing it. I won't go into detail because I don't want to spoil anyone's appetite.
Sounds like Sweden.
Yes,
yeah.
Sweden.
So there's different modes of nature: ignorance, passion, goodness, and then there's pure goodness, or Shuddha Sattva, Krishna consciousness. And that's what we're striving for, because in that state, it's a state of illumination. It's a state of joy. We're in a good mood all the time. It doesn't matter what someone says to us or does to us. It's water off the duck's back, because we understand, well, I'm just getting a little token of the karma that I actually deserve, because I've been such a jerk. Not just in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes. So whatever is happening to me, I take full ownership for it. I'm not going to play the blame game, because every time I point my finger at someone, 3 more fingers are pointing back at me. So that's tamagun. That's being in ignorance. When I go, oh, this person did this to me, and that one did that to me, and I'm not going to, and we just kind of shut down and close down and become isolated and blame the whole world. And so then that's a state of disempowerment, because as long as everyone else is responsible for the situation that we're in, then we have to remain stuck in that situation, and that's called tama guna, the state of tamas, the state of ignorance. And so that's why we all need a pal, we all need a friend who can tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, you got a blind spot over here. You might not have noticed this, but I think you need to check this out, because you're about to go off the cliff. So, but false ego says, what do you mean? How dare you correct me? Don't you know how great I am? Well, if you're so great, why are you in this material world? Why did you leave the spiritual world if you're so cool? Why are you covered with a bag of skin and bones and blood that's, and you're sick and you're dying and you're confused and you're suffering? So Lord Chaitanya said, if I had any love for Krishna, I wouldn't even be here in this material world, if I had any love for God. So he's kind of like our benchmark of humility. That's the key quality. Developing, either we choose to become more humble and realize how foolish we've been, or Maya, the goddess of illusion, has a way of humiliating us. So either we learn to develop a taste for humble pie, or Maya shoves it down our throat. That doesn't mean, of course, that we allow ourselves to be a doormat and allow people to abuse us. That's not the same thing as being humble. It's important also to learn how to be assertive and express to others the impact that they may be having upon our lives. That's also a sattvic quality. So I'll just finish this purport. So Ajamil, yes, he saw a Sudra. A Sudra is someone who, if you give him his paycheck, he'll go out and buy a 6-pack of beer and a bunch of hash. And some of us have done it, but it doesn't mean we have to continue. We can chant Hare Krishna, we can eat prasadam, and we can overcome those lower tendencies. So Ajamil, even though he was a high-class Brahmin, he saw this Sudra, this guy, hugging and kissing this woman in public. Now I realize public displays of affection is something that's encouraged in society today. But when you're living in a society where self-realization is the goal, to get out of the cycle of repeated birth and death, then you might appreciate, well, actually there may be some celibate monks around that don't want to go in that direction. They've been there, they've done it, they've worn the t-shirt, and they've realized that I've been doing this maybe for a few million births, and I really want to get out this time. I don't want to come back anymore. So out of respect for them, then in the privacy of our homes, we can express our affection to our better half. But it doesn't mean we have to do it in everyone's face, and but I realize that's the standard and that's the norm, and people probably do much worse than that in the parks than just giving their sweetheart a hug or a kiss. Prabhupada did actually say that if you're married, you should give your wife a kiss. So this is time, place, and circumstance. We have to see. Every place, every circumstance has its purpose. But Ajamil, he lost it totally. And he couldn't get that woman out of his mind. And he sought her out, he stalked her. He was one of the original stalkers. This story goes back millions of years. And he looked and looked for her until he could find her. And then he cohabited with her and had something like 10 kids with her or something like that. And he completely forgot about being a Brahmin. He forgot about doing his puja, his arti. He even became a thief. He went out and robbed, to try to please this woman that he had met. And finally he was on his deathbed. He was on his deathbed, but he had named his son after the Lord. He gave him the name Narayan. And so he was thinking of his little son at the time he was about to die. And he was calling out, Narayan, Narayan. And in swooped in, actually initially the Yamadutas came, the messengers of death. There's 33 million demigods in Vedic philosophy, Vedic culture. 33 principal ones, and then there's expansions of them. So sometimes Christians or people of other faiths, Islam, they think, oh, we're worshipping all these idols or all these different gods. No. And there's one Supreme Lord. Just like I think you have a king here or a queen.
Queen.
Of Denmark. Yes.
Recently a queen.
Yes. And in Canada we have a prime minister. And then there's many lesser or sub-ministers that are in charge of different departments.
Aren't you guys under the queen still?
In name. Yeah, we have a queen of England. And she comes and waves her hand at everyone every once in a while.
Commonwealth.
We pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for her to come and wave at us. Anyway, the Commonwealth, I'm not sure exactly how common that wealth is. That's why we need to follow in the footsteps of Lalita Prabhu, because he's got the real wealth. I saw his beautiful garden yesterday. Amoghadrik Prabhu took me to and showed me how nicely he's cultivating vegetables for Krishna. So this is very intelligent.
They taste very good. I know they're very good.
Mm.
Yeah. These vegetables are excellent.
So this is what Prabhupada wanted. Simple living and higher thinking. So we need to simplify our lives. We need to stop chasing after dollars. I understand it's difficult when you have a 50% income tax. I don't know how you do it. We have 15% in Canada, but I'm sure it's probably going to go up. But this is the system of the demons. They just squeeze us and squeeze us and squeeze us. But we're supposed to be Brahmins. Brahmins are the intelligent class of people. They see the system and they realize we don't want to be a part of that system. So what do people spend the majority of their money on? Probably food, right? So if you grow your own food, then you're starting to you don't have to worry about money so much. Or you have some money left over so you can go to Vrindavan and go to Mayapur and go and live in India for a while because you grew your vegetables and now you've saved all this money. One way of thinking. Anyway, so there's a planet called Pluto that we've heard of, also called Yamaloka, and that's where Yamaraj has his messengers. And they came to get Ajamil because he had really lost it. But because he had chanted the name of Narayan, the name of Krishna, then the Vishnudutas came in and they said, wait a minute, keep your hands off him. He's wearing Tulsi beads. So if you didn't get any Tulsi neck beads yet, make sure you buy some tonight. Because the Yamadutas will not touch you if you're wearing your Krishna's dog collar. This is our dog collar. In the sense that we're the humble servants of Krishna, or trying to be. So that's important. And soak them in oil so that they won't break. Keep them in oil for a few days. Because they'll crack in the shower if they get waterlogged. Anyway, the Vishnudutas, they came in and they protected Ajamil, and he was given a little more time, and he got back on the track of bhakti devotional service. And the Vishnudutas, the Lord came with his flower airplane, and Ajamil went back home, back to Godhead. So we've all begun the path of devotional service, so that's guaranteed for each and every one of us in this lifetime. Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, is a gradual process. But it's up to us how gradual we really want to make that. Prabhupada said, if we follow these regulative principles and chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra in this lifetime, then we could go back in this very life. We could finish up our business in this one lifetime. But we need the help of other devotees. It's like impossible to do it by ourselves. That's why this wonderful temple is here. And Lalitanath Prabhu, he's a devotee of many Krishnas. We all have our talents. And so I find it very unusual that not only is he growing a garden, but he's written a scientific book. Prabhupada said, our spiritual master said, that the most important teaching that we can do is to the scientists. Because it's the scientists that are influencing everyone to be atheists. Because the scientists are always coming up with bigger and better ways to be absorbed in illusion. And also, it's the scientists that, the military, they go to all the major universities of the world to find out who are the most intelligent scientists, so they can develop more and more ways to kill people. So it's very important that we infiltrate into the scientific community, and this is one of Lalitanath Prabhu's talents. But if he's the temple president at the same time, how do you expect him to have time to go and visit the universities? So that means it's important for all of us to take up some service. We need to do devotional service because it's purifying. It's part of sadhana bhakti. You know, if you're a construction person, well, there's, I can see the paint or the stucco or whatever that's coming off here. It needs to be touched up. There's some in the bathroom that needs to be. It's unlimited how much service can be done here. And I'm sure if you approach Lalitanath Prabhu, he's probably got a long list of different services that can be accomplished. And it would probably be a good idea if we haven't already done it, to make a list of all the varieties of services that are available. Like yesterday, Nicole came and she helped Keshava Priya to make, was it flower garlands? Yeah, very nice. She doesn't live here in the temple, but she gave some of her time. So if it's in our interest to come and help the devotees here, because Prabhupada said sharing Krishna consciousness is not one man or one woman's work. And if Lalitanath was to leave his body tomorrow, well, who's going to step up to the plate and be the next president? Not that I want that to happen, but I'm just saying it could happen to any of us at any time. So, we can all improve our devotional service. What's our next level? What can we do? Did we take initiation yet? If we're not initiated yet, well, then what are the steps that we need to take in order to take initiation? Because if you take initiation, especially second initiation, then you can go on the altar. You can be a pujari. If you become a pujari, that means a Mogadrik is free to go out and distribute more books and do more Harinam and be engaged in more devotional service. So we should be always thinking in this way, how we can help to facilitate others. Because just like my name, Gaura Das, it means that I'm the Das, or the servant of the Lord, of Gaura, of Lord Chaitanya. But actually, it's Das, 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 Anudas. We're the servant of the servant of the servant. The more we're the servants of the Lord's servants, the more exalted. So I think I've run out of time. I can hear the conch shell's about to go off. Normally I like to leave time for questions, but I heard that's done at 6 o'clock or something. Is it? I don't know.
I don't know, it's just an instruction.
Okay.
I'm not in charge.
All right.
Usually there is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.